Hi, everyone. I'm Vicky Sanders, Chief Digital Officer at OpenFin. Our next panel is going to dive deeper into the themes from our Microsoft keynote, and in particular, how applications and solutions can be built with compatibility, collaboration in mind, as well as how we link in client intelligence into the experience. Joining me to do that are a few innovators from the industry. So Stepane Malrait from ING, Chilip from LeapXpert, and also Alan, not Jody, Alan Panezic from IntroHive. Chilip, could you start us with an introduction, please?
Thanks, Vicky. Good to meet everyone here. I'm Chilip. I'm normally based in Hong Kong, but have been working out of UK most of the summer. I take care of our global partnerships and alliances, as well as business development.
Alan?
Hi, I'm Alan Panezic. I'm IntroHive's Chief Product Officer. I've been with the company about three months, so I'm just getting into the thick of things.
And I'm Stepane Malrait. I'm in charge of what we call market structure and innovation for the financial market business of ING Bank. I work with regulator, policymaker, and central banks, but I also try to innovate and prepare the bank for the future.
Great. Chilip, I'm going to start with you in our conversation. We just heard from Microsoft on the latest developments out of Teams. What are some of the major trends that you're seeing in enterprise communications?
I can break it down to two things. And one of the items which Gary already mentioned from Microsoft earlier is leverage your existing investments, right? If a firm is going to go all in on Microsoft Teams as opposed to, as we've seen, the popularity of Zoom during the pandemic, then that's a huge commitment, not just financial resources, but the human resources around that to train and make sure it's being adopted and used within an organization. So how to leverage that decision to go with an enterprise communication tool, such as Microsoft Teams, but having the ability to extend it out into the external world. So whether that's connecting it with WhatsApp, WeChat, or other external messengers. The second part really is enterprise communication. We've seen over the last 12 months, significant fines, over $2 billion from the US regulators. 17 firms have been caught with their employees using unapproved private communication, typically WhatsApp or iMessage or SMS. So there is a gap there. So despite all the investment in these enterprise communication tools, the clients are demanding this. So people are putting their careers, their reputations at risk, and now the institutions at risk. So how can you extend that investment into the regulatory space where you need to keep the records and the actual audit of all these communications? So those are the two things we've seen over the last 12 months, Vicky.
Very interesting. And Stepane, same question to you, but as you think about the desktop experience, what are you seeing in terms of collaboration and communication?
It's a bit linked to what you said, but in a way, I saw that in the last 2 years, the way we work had changed dramatically compared to how we worked for the last 10 years. Mainly due to COVID and the working from home, the flexibility, our clients being remote, and so the experience of the desktop make it a huge step forward now to be able to say, well, if I have to work on Monday at home, on Tuesday at the office, on Wednesday I have to go to Amsterdam because my head office is there, I have to be able to have the same level of service and experience and application on my desktop wherever I am. And it's the same for my clients, right? They tell me exactly the same thing that they were. And this was not the case 2 years ago, right? Most of the sales and traders, they were locked in their room. We could not work from home. We could not work on the mobile. We could not work on a remote location. We could not work on a train, etc. Right? And now, we have to be careful. We have to be safe. We have to be compliant. But it's a prerequisite. You have to be able to adapt your desktop to be able to interact with your interaction now.
Yeah, that echoes what we heard from another panel earlier, that it's about meeting people where they work. And what's changed is they work in the office, at home, in a coffee shop, anywhere where they can. Alan, turning to you, CRMs are very expensive, but they're critical tools in managing the client experience. We know a lot of firms we're working with are trying to drive their CRM usage higher. Why do you think usage is low today, and what can be done to improve that?
Well, today what we've seen is mostly you've got two endpoints. You've got the carrot method, like, oh great, let's give people an extra incentive to try to get them to enter their information into the system, or the stick method. Let's penalize them for not doing that. Both kind of really miss the mark. The purpose of the CRM system is to actually be a source of information and value for the people that are using it, not just for the sales VP. It's not a system of record to manage salespeople. It's a system of record of customer intelligence. So if I can get customer intelligence into the system, and then more importantly, as a rep who has a quota I have to hit, if I can get that customer intelligence out of the system automatically through actionable insights in the places I work, like say Microsoft Teams, or a digest I get in my email before I start my working day, so that I can see that, oh my gosh, there's somebody new added to that meeting that I know I have today. I actually got a heads up because it hit my calendar last night. I didn't look. I got all the information I need. Now what we've actually done is we've changed the value equation. So instead of this being a system, because if you think about it, the CRM system is one of the few, I can't think of another enterprise system of record that requires cooperation from the end users to use it. Think of it, which other one is it? They all have that built in. The way you get cooperation is dramatically increase the value. If I increase the value, I increase the impact. The more I increase the impact, the more people will use it. It's a beautiful virtuous cycle. That's what we've really been focused at IntroHive for the past couple of years.
Make it easier to use and a higher reward when you do it, and it seems pretty straightforward. As does automating the mundane. Push versus pull is a really important factor when we're thinking about interoperability across the desktop and collaboration tools. Stepane, can you think of a real-life example of how pushing client intelligence ultimately improved the sales outcome or the customer experience?
Yeah, and something we start to measure internally at ING, where it was discussed in the panel before, right? Our sales and our trader have multiple screens, a lot of information, and we try to improve the way they work as well. When they are mobile, when they move, they cannot bring 6 screens in different locations. So what we try to do is try to put intelligent alert system towards them, so they can focus really on what it matters for the clients they are trying to serve. A client who doesn't trade enough or stop trading, why does it stop trading? Is it because of pricing have changed? Or you have 1,000 clients and suddenly one of them is trying to trade a product it didn't trade before, so you have to be alerted. So a relevant alert to the person is critical. And we see it drive adoption as well. It's a way for people to be able to say, now I have an action to take, I have an action to, and it's relevant to me. So the personalization of those alerts are something that is critical, I think, in our domain.
And Alan, what's your view on that? A real life example?
So it's all about actionable insights. So if I'm responsible for an account deck, and one of those customers I haven't talked to in 6 months, wouldn't it be great if I got a lonely client report that would let me know these are the customers I haven't talked to for some time? Oh my goodness, this really large deal that I had, a champion just left that company and went somewhere else. So that's another capability we have called champion tracking. It's all about being very, very specific for what those actionable insights are that are relevant to me in the context of the job that I'm trying to do. The more specific, the more direct those insights are, the dramatically higher value that I get. And then of course, when that's delivered to me either in my calendar or in my Teams app or in the OpenFin client that IntroHive has built, now you're talking. Now I'm getting the piece of information I need that's contextually relevant when I need it, where I want it. That transforms the working equation.
Exactly, and that focus on workflows and having the ability to do something with the information you've been delivered, as opposed to just a news feed of here's what's happened.
Exactly.
It's a big difference. That phrase, actionable intelligence, I've heard a lot, and I think it's one of those phrases that gets tossed around a bit. Can you tell us what it really means?
So again, the actionable intelligence is a piece of information that is very, very clear and unambiguous about a risk or an opportunity that I have relative to a piece of work. So if we talk about a champion in a deal leaving, the actionable insight is I got to go find another champion. If I'm working a very large, complex deal, I may want to actually take a look at the organization and see, my goodness, I don't actually have anybody from purchasing involved. I need to go and multi-thread the deal and see what other relationships my organization has with the company I'm trying to sell into so that I can get other champions to help me close this deal. Those are very specific examples of actionable insights.
Excellent. And Chilip, turning to you, so we have the insights. Now we've got to go talk to some people. That might be a client. That might be someone else internally. How are those communication tools already cohesively working together?
I think what we've seen, and all in our personal lives, we love messaging, right? We love to chat. We love to use these very convenient, very sociable apps. But the challenge is they weren't built for enterprises. They weren't built for business. And they're all architected and developed differently. So WeChat doesn't talk to WhatsApp, and Telegram doesn't talk to Signal. But what if you had a centralized platform that could interoperably communicate between all the different messaging apps? So you have a centralized platform of all the communications to the external world. So whether your clients are in China, who pretty much only use WeChat, or if they prefer WhatsApp in UK, you can communicate with them, whether it's through an integration with Microsoft Teams, for example, or leveraging OpenFin integration. So you can really have that productivity and not just have it as just basic communication. You don't want to have all your WhatsApp notifications coming through your desktop. You don't want that with WeChat either. So you want to be able to manage that as productively as you can. So that's where we see the value is having something that can capture all the messaging in one place. So not having more and more apps to manage. And I think that's what Gary also mentioned is having less apps. It's not about bringing more apps into an enterprise. It's reducing the apps.
And I think based on what you said, it's true that what has changed from the past is 5 years ago, I could have told my client, you want to trade with me, you go to our website, and this is how you connect to us, right? Now the client is say, you want to have my business, I am on WeChat, please talk to me on WeChat. That's a big, big difference. And so we cannot impose anymore to say this is a channel of choice that we impose to our client. It's the opposite. The client is imposing, and I did all my career more electronic trading, electronic communication, but now we see that those voice communication or those chat communication tools are as important into the workflow we trade with our clients. And it's the client who decide how they want to trade with us.
And there's an end user corollary to what you're talking about, right? Which it used to be like, thou shalt only use this chat application, or, well, we've decided that we're now going to go get Zoom Info and Sales Navigator and all these other tools. And the salesperson sitting there saying, I don't need 38 different portals to go figure out how I'm going to hit my number. Mm-hmm. I need customer intelligence. I need it in the places that I work. I don't want to I don't want to be trained on a new tool. It's got to be automatic. It's got to be easy. This information needs to find me. So the world has changed fundamentally. And so the expectations are very, very different. Give me the relevant data where I work.
Exactly. And another stat I like to add to Adam's is it's 9% of our time as employees that we spend toggling across applications. So if that could be reinvested into coffee with a client, into that next best action, there we go, you're going to get value, right? And Stepane, your example is all about value. So there is an ROI then in investing in collaboration and intelligence tools.
100%.
Yeah. And as we think about building those tools, and I think FinJS is such a great event because we have a mixture of our engineers, our business leaders, app owners. It's that coming together to build these applications. So what advice, if we go with a wrap-up question for you, what advice do you each have for the technologists out here who are building solutions to empower sales and front office in client engagement? Stepane, maybe you can start.
Yeah, I think my advice would be you have to be curious, a lot more curious than you have been in the past. A lot of time, we have a lot of very smart people in the room, and you think you know what needs to be done to answer to your client questions. And I thought I knew as well, but when I started to work in innovation, I realized that you don't know what you don't know. So you have to be extremely curious to be able to learn from your client or to learn from your peers what can be done differently. So that will be my advice.
Okay. And Alan?
Yeah, very similar. We at IntroHive, we really believe about getting to the root cause, asking those 5 whys. Why is this hard? Is it because of a system? Why is that? Why is that? Why is that? And if you can continue to get down to what the essential why is, then you can figure out what piece of information actually serves to answer that question that's available from all the various systems. When you get that, now it's a question of taking that piece of information and what's the most convenient time, place, and format to actually serve it up to the user to transform how they work. Very, very similar.
So we have be creative, we have ask why, and keep asking why. And Chilip?
I'd say be a partner on this journey. So whether it's with your internal stakeholders, but also critically with your external technology partners and vendors and service providers. So a lot of the times, what you perceive to be best for your company, you may not have seen in other organizations. So leverage their kind of insights and expertise, delivering the solution for similar firms and have experienced the same problems. And vice versa, if you're not on the client side, and as a service provider or a technology vendor, have to be a partner in that journey. Understand why they're getting the feedback, develop it accordingly, and prioritize. So a lot of the features that we develop have come from our clients. We've never even thought about it. We're not a financial services background company. We're a technology company. So understanding the pains of financial services professionals is something that we had to learn. So that journey of building that platform with the technologists is very key to develop things that we never would even dream of. Such things as an example, out of office on messaging apps. I mean, once you switch on those messaging apps, it's non-stop, 24 hours a day you'll be getting messages. Imagine if you could have out of office and say, look, I'm not available right now, can you message this other person? And it's all done on WhatsApp from the external client's view. So that's great. So the deal doesn't die, the relationship just doesn't disappear for a week because they're on holiday or call leave or compliance leave. So it's just really working with your clients as a partner and also as a technology vendor.
It's fantastic advice. Thank you all. We're going to finish this panel with a real-life example of how these tools work and how we can see collaboration and client intelligence with IntroHive on OpenFin. But before we turn to that, could you all please join me in thanking Chilip, Alan, and Stepane.
In today's data arms race, valuable relationship intelligence data is automatically generated and optimally surfaced to sales and coverage teams within IntroHive on OpenFin. They can more effectively find leads, win opportunities, and grow accounts with relationship insights. Most firms today don't have a relationship mapping system or solution to really understand who knows who and how well across their firm. It's usually not in a transparent way, but by automatically measuring interactions and relationships across the firm, regardless of geography or division, those silos are broken down and next best actions are crystal clear. On OpenFin, we shift to a push strategy. We've got notifications that can help you understand the relationships and an application built directly on OpenFin so you can search any account that you need to understand how many connections you have, how strong your relationships are, and find out a little bit more about those contacts you have with Stellar Mobile in this case. At Stellar Mobile, your top connected colleague is Greg Murphy. I've got 19 connections. That's data that you typically don't have. You know that your top connected colleagues are Alan, Ann, and Julian. If I need to dive in to see who else is connected, I can look through all of those connections here and understand how strong that relationship is. That's that valuable piece of data that's going to get you that warm introduction to set up that call with your accounts and clients. If you need to find out a little bit more through those relationships, IntroHive is available in a number of different places with a strong partner ecosystem. We can make sure that we're providing this client intelligence where it makes sense at the right time. One of those could be your CRM. We have a web portal or a CRM integration that allows you to see the same information easily accessible within our web application. You'll be able to understand the latest activities and the relationship health over time to make sure that your key clients have enough interactions, or if someone has left and gone somewhere else, you're aware of that. So you can make sure you're tracking those champions and working with them as they move across to different accounts. If you're looking for an introduction into a specific seniority or department, we've got you covered there as well. I can see those C-level connections, the CFO Ross here, and who he's connected to at the firm. Gives me that context of how strong that relationship is in that last interaction that Jamie or Julian or Alicia had with Ross at Stellar Mobile. All this is available on the fly and also through our email digests. We can get these on a subscription basis or anytime you've got one of those meetings. Let's say that was a successful warm intro you were able to get with Jacob Evans here. You'll actually get a pre-meeting digest sent directly to you, informing you on the latest news, upcoming meeting attendees, and any relationships you should be aware of before you go into that meeting. All this is available on the fly in OpenFin, your CRM, or in Outlook. It's all about empowering your users with data and insights at the right time, with the right technology to really help them work smarter, faster, and happier, closing more business.
Perfect. Thank you guys very much, and thank you to our panelists.